Have you ever walked into a room and suddenly forgotten why you were there? Maybe you've misplaced your glasses again, or you found yourself rereading the same paragraph, trying to understand it like you used to. If so, you're not alone. These little slips can feel like tiny cracks in something that once felt so strong. And as the years pass, many of us carry a quiet fear. What if the mind we've relied on all our lives slowly begins to drift from us? It's not always easy to talk about. Memory, focus, the sharpness of thought. These are deeply personal parts of who we are. They hold our stories, our laughter, even the names of the people we love most. That's why it can feel so frightening when something begins to change. But here's something gentle and hopeful. Sometimes the small choices we make each day, like what we put on our plate, can quietly help or quietly harm our brain. After 65, our bodies and minds become more sensitive. Some foods that once seemed harmless may now be slowly affecting how clearly we think and how well we remember. I want to share with you 6 everyday foods that might be quietly hurting your brain, and you may not even realize it. This isn't about scaring anyone or being strict. It's about protecting what matters most: our minds, our memories, our moments. I hope you'll stay with me as we walk through them gently, with care and understanding, because even small changes can bring back a sense of clarity and peace. As we grow older, our bodies become quieter but also more sensitive, like a well-worn instrument that still plays music but needs more gentle care. The foods we once enjoyed without a second thought can now leave lasting footprints on how we feel, both in body and in mind. What we eat doesn't just fill us, it shapes us, especially after 65. And when it comes to the brain, some foods can quietly do harm over time, even though they seem so ordinary. Let's talk about one of the first culprits: processed meats. Things like bacon, sausages, deli slices. They may be convenient and familiar, but they're often filled with preservatives and chemicals like nitrites. Studies have shown that these substances can increase inflammation in the body and the brain. Inflammation is like a slow-burning fire. It doesn't hurt all at once, but over time it wears down memory, focus, and even mood. You might notice it as more forgetful moments or feeling mentally slower than usual. Another common troublemaker is refined sugar. It's in cookies, pastries, sweet drinks, even in foods that don't taste all that sweet. High sugar intake has been linked to cognitive decline. It causes spikes in blood sugar, followed by crashes that leave you feeling tired, foggy, and irritable. Over time, it can affect the brain's ability to process information clearly. It's not just about diabetes. It's about keeping your thinking sharp. Now, this isn't about blaming yourself for what you've eaten. These foods have often been part of family traditions, comfort during hard times, or simply a habit formed long ago. I've known people, kind, thoughtful folks in their 70s and 80s, who said they didn't realize how much these foods were affecting them until they cut back. One woman told me that after just a few weeks of reducing processed meats and sugar, she felt more alert, like a fog had lifted. We can't change everything all at once, and we don't need to. But by learning about what affects our minds, we're giving ourselves a quiet kind of power, a chance to protect our memories and stay fully present in the moments that matter. Food is more than just something we eat. It's tied to memories, emotions, and the comfort of routine. A warm piece of toast with butter, a slice of cake at a family gathering, or even a simple snack while watching television. These little moments are filled with feelings. That's why it can be so difficult to change what we eat. It's not just about nutrition. It's about what those foods represent. Sometimes they're tied to love, celebration, or the memory of someone we miss. And yet, some of the foods we reach for most often can quietly work against the health of our brain. Let's talk about trans fats. These fats are often found in packaged snacks, frozen meals, margarine, and some baked goods. They're used to make food last longer on the shelf, but not necessarily in your body. Trans fats have been linked to an increased risk of Alzheimer's and other forms of cognitive decline. They can cause inflammation in the brain and interfere with communication between brain cells. It's not always easy to spot them either. They often hide under labels like partially hydrogenated oils. Another food to be cautious with is artificial sweeteners, especially the kind found in diet sodas, sugar-free treats, and low-calorie desserts. While they may seem like a healthier alternative to sugar, some studies suggest they can disrupt the balance of chemicals in the brain and affect memory and learning. They may even trick the body into craving more sweet things, leading to unhealthy eating patterns. It's not about guilt or shame. So many of us have reached for these foods in moments of tiredness, loneliness, or just out of habit. When life feels overwhelming, familiar tastes can feel like a soft place to land, but we deserve better than a quick comfort that may be quietly harming our minds. There's a deep kind of self-love in choosing differently. It doesn't have to be perfect. It can start with just one small step, a different snack, a closer look at a label, a gentle decision made with care. Our brains carry the stories of our lives. They are worth protecting with the same tenderness we've given to others all our lives. Our bodies speak to us, especially as we get older. Sometimes it's a stiff joint in the morning, or a heavy feeling after a salty meal, and sometimes it's something quieter, like the feeling that your mind just isn't as sharp or your energy fades quicker than it used to. What we eat doesn't just shape how we think, it deeply affects how our body supports the brain. Blood flow, blood pressure, and even hydration all play a role in brain health. And two very common things we consume, often without a second thought, can quietly interfere with that balance. Let's start with alcohol. Now, a small glass of wine here or there might feel harmless, maybe even relaxing, but as we age, our bodies process alcohol more slowly. What used to be fine can now have stronger effects. Too much alcohol over time shrinks parts of the brain, especially those responsible for memory and decision-making. Even light drinking can affect balance, sleep, and mental clarity. And when alcohol becomes a habit, maybe just to pass the time, ease pain or cope with loneliness, it can slowly dull the brightness of your thoughts. Then there's high-sodium processed snacks, things like chips, frozen dinners, canned soups, or boxed meals. These are easy to reach for when cooking feels like too much, and the taste is comforting. But they often come packed with far more salt than our bodies need. Too much sodium can raise blood pressure, which limits the brain's access to healthy blood flow. Without that nourishment, our brain can struggle to function clearly. That's when you start feeling foggy, forgetful, or just off. The good news is that our bodies are always trying to heal. Just like a garden returns after a long winter, our minds can grow clearer with small, caring choices. Even something as simple as drinking more water, swapping a salty snack for a handful of nuts, or having one fewer drink a week can begin to make a difference. You don't have to change everything overnight. But every choice that supports your body also supports your mind. And the clearer your mind, the more connected you can feel to others, to the moment, and to yourself. There's something sacred about the mind. It's where our memories live, birthdays, voices we miss, songs from decades ago. It's where we hold wisdom, dreams, regrets, and hopes. Our minds are not just part of our bodies. They are the keepers of our stories. That's why it's so important to care for them gently. Like tending to an old photo album or a treasured letter, the foods we eat may seem like small choices, but they are actually acts of respect or neglect toward that sacred space inside us. As we age, every moment of clarity becomes more precious, and every decision we make, no matter how small, can either protect or slowly dull that inner light. When we start to see food not just as fuel, but as a message to our minds, it becomes a spiritual act of care. You see, this journey isn't about dieting or being perfect. It's about presence. It's about waking up and feeling clear enough to enjoy the sunrise through the window, to remember the name of an old friend, to tell your grandchild a story and see their eyes light up. Food plays a quiet role in that. It's not the only part, but it matters more than we sometimes realize. Even if you've eaten these foods your whole life, it's not too late to turn the page. I've met elders in their 70s, 80s, even their 90s, who began making small changes and saw big differences. More energy, fewer senior moments, a steadier mood, a brighter sense of self. This is not about shame. It's about honoring yourself. You've lived through decades of change, some beautiful, some painful. You've given to others, worked hard, faced fears. Now is the time to give back to yourself with gentleness. Your mind is still here. It still holds treasures. By choosing foods that support it, you're not just living longer. You're living more clearly, more connected, more awake to the beauty around you. That too is a kind of spiritual grace, and you deserve it. Every single day. If you've stayed with me this far, thank you. It means you care about your health, your future, and the quiet strength of your mind. That care matters, because even though we can't stop the years from passing, we can choose how gently we walk through them. And every small choice, every thoughtful step, adds up to something beautiful. You don't need to change everything all at once. This is not a race or a test. It's simply a path, one lined with grace, patience, and self-respect. Maybe today you just notice what's in your pantry. Maybe tomorrow you swap one food for something a little kinder to your brain. That's enough. That's powerful. Your mind has carried so much already. Stories, sorrows, laughter, and love. It deserves to be cared for with the same tenderness you've given to others all your life. Whether it's cutting back on processed meats, being mindful of sugar, or drinking one less soda, these quiet shifts are a way of saying, I still matter. My mind still matters. There's peace in knowing that we're not powerless, that even now in this season of life we can nurture ourselves in ways that bring more clarity, more presence, more connection. Your brain, your memories, your voice in the world, they are worth protecting. So be gentle with yourself. You've come a long way, and there's still beauty ahead, still stories to tell, still people to love, still mornings to wake up and feel truly alive. Take care of your beautiful mind. It's still listening, it's still growing, and it's still yours.